The galaxy was old, filled with countless stars and endless civilizations. Across those stars, empires had risen and fallen. Some species ruled with fire, others ruled with wisdom, and among them stood the Grand Council, a gathering of the strongest races in the galaxy. They believed they knew every predator, every danger, every weapon that space could offer. They were wrong. It began as a whisper, a quiet rumor moving through trading routes and soldier camps. No one knew exactly where it started. Some said a smuggler brought it from the edge of known space. Others claimed it came from a broken distress signal, half burned into static. But the words were always the same. The humans are coming. At first, the council laughed. Humans? Who were they? A minor species from a forgotten corner of the galaxy. Their world was small, their fleets weak, their technology decades behind the major empires. To call them dangerous was foolish. In the shining halls of the council chamber, one elder even joked, "Perhaps these humans will throw rocks at our starships." The chamber erupted in laughter. But laughter ended when the first evidence arrived. A scout vessel, torn and broken, limped into council-controlled space. Its crew was shaken, their scales pale from fear. They carried no treasure, no victory spoils, only footage. The chamber darkened as a recording played. At first, nothing seemed unusual. A fleet of the Karen Empire, one of the Council's most powerful allies, was seen moving through the void. Their ships were armed with plasma cannons, shields strong enough to block asteroids, and fighters that had never known defeat. They were confident, ready to test themselves against the primitive humans. But then, the screen flickered. From the darkness of space, human ships appeared. Not graceful, not beautiful. They looked rough, metallic, patched together. They did not shine with elegance like council vessels. They looked angry. The battle began. Alien commanders expected a quick victory, but the humans did not fight like any species known to the galaxy. They turned their own damaged ships into traps, slingshotting wreckage at high speeds to tear through shields. They fired weapons even when their ships were burning. They rammed enemy cruisers as if death itself did not matter. The council chamber grew silent. In less than 15 minutes, the mighty Karen fleet was gone, burned, scattered, silent forever in the black void. The last image showed a human warship moving slowly through the wreckage. Its hull was scarred, but it did not retreat. Instead, it broadcasted a single message in calm, cold words. "Do not threaten Earth again." The recording ended. The silence in the chamber was heavy. For the first time in centuries, the council felt something it had long forgotten. Fear. One young voice broke the silence. An admiral from the Ulnari species leaned forward, his mandibles trembling. How? How can a world so young, so small, destroy a fleet of that size? No one answered. Another elder tried to calm the chamber. This is a trick. Perhaps the humans bribed someone. Perhaps the footage was altered. They are too primitive. But the survivors of the scout ship stood and shouted, their voices cracking. No, we saw it. We heard them. They do not fight for power or conquest. They fight as if every battle is survival itself. They do not surrender. They do not break. They do not stop. The council began to murmur, fear mixing with disbelief. If the rumors were true, if humanity truly fought like this, then the galaxy faced a predator unlike any other. An old scholar, one who had studied death worlds, spoke softly, almost to himself. Perhaps it is their home, their planet, Earth. I read once that it was classified as a death world, a place of storms, predators, poison, and endless danger. If they survived there, then war against them would be nothing. The word spread through the chamber like fire. Death world. Few species ever came from such cursed planets. Those that did were usually wiped out by their own violent environments. But humans had not only survived, they had thrived. And now, they were reaching for the stars. The council adjourned in chaos that day. Some called for war, to crush humanity before it grew too strong. Others demanded peace, warning that to fight such a species was madness. But one truth remained. The whisper had become a storm. Across the galaxy, traders, soldiers, and rulers repeated the same words again and again, until even the most powerful empires could not ignore it. The humans are coming. And for the first time, the stars themselves seemed to tremble. The council could not sleep. Across the galaxy, leaders replayed the same footage again and again, human warships tearing apart one of the most powerful fleets known. Many refused to believe it, but deep inside, a shadow of fear was growing. Whispers spread among soldiers, merchants, and even farmers on distant moons. They all asked the same question: what kind of species can fight like this? The answer came from an old record, buried in archives that few dared to read. It was not about ships or weapons. It was about the humans themselves. Their homeworld, Earth. To most of the galaxy, planets were gentle places, worlds where life grew under calm skies and safe lands. But Earth was nothing like that. It was called a death world. The word itself carried terror. A death world was a place where nature itself wanted everything dead. On Earth, storms raged strong enough to tear cities apart. Volcanoes spewed fire without warning. Oceans swallowed ships whole. Even the air shifted between freezing cold and burning heat. And then there were the creatures. The archives describe beasts with teeth sharp enough to shatter bone, reptiles that hunted in silence, insect-carrying poisons that killed in minutes. On many worlds, such predators wiped out civilizations. But on Earth, humans had lived side by side with them. No, not just lived. They had become predators themselves. The council listened in disbelief as the scholar continued his report. From the very beginning, the scholar explained, humans learned to survive by hunting creatures stronger than themselves. Their bodies are weak compared to our soldiers, but their minds are weapons. Images filled the chamber. Ancient humans with sharp stones, facing beasts 10 times their size. Hunters tracking prey for days without rest. Villages uniting to drive predators into traps. They learned patience from stalking animals. They learned teamwork from hunting in packs. They learned to fight not because they wanted to, but because their world gave them no choice. The chamber fell silent. One alien commander whispered, they were trained by their planet itself. The scholar nodded. Yes, every storm, every predator, every struggle carved them into what they are today. When they reached space, they did not become explorers first. They became survivors. The report spread far beyond the council. In the colonies of the Varnic, children whispered stories of humans with fire in their eyes. On the trade routes of the MYR, smugglers told tales of humans who could fight for days without rest. And in the armies of the Karen, soldiers refused to speak about the battle they had lost. The fear was no longer hidden. But what terrified the galaxy most was not the human strength. It was their will. Unlike other species, humans did not surrender when the odds turned against them. They fought harder. When weapons failed, they used rocks. When rocks failed, they used their hands. And if death came, they welcomed it as long as their enemy fell too. One council member, his voice shaking, said the words everyone feared. If they survive their own world, then no galaxy can stop them. Meanwhile, on the far edge of human space, Earth itself was preparing. Human leaders knew the council would not stay silent forever. They had seen the way other empires treated weaker species, used them, enslaved them, erased them. Humanity refused to become prey. Factories roared as new ships were built. Scientists studied alien technology and made it stronger, faster, deadlier. Soldiers trained not in comfort, but in storms, deserts, frozen lands, just like their ancestors. And while the galaxy argued and feared, the humans remained silent. They did not boast. They did not threaten. They only prepared. Across the stars, alien leaders began to argue among themselves. "Strike now," shouted one warlord. "Destroy Earth before it grows stronger." "No," argued another. "If we fight them, we will lose everything. We must offer peace, trade, alliance." But deep in their hearts, they all knew the truth. Peace would not stop the fear. And war might awaken something even worse. In a quiet chamber, an admiral from the insectoid Zaran leaned close to his council. His voice trembled. "I have studied them. I have seen how they fight. They smile while bleeding. They laugh while burning. They turn fear into fuel. We must not mistake them for a young species. No, they are predators wearing the mask of prey." The room froze. Predators. That was a word none dared to say aloud. In all the galaxy, predator species were rare, feared, often hunted to extinction. But humans had not only survived as predators, they had built civilizations, armies, and fleets. The galaxy finally understood. Humanity was not simply another rising race. Humanity was a result of a world that wanted them dead, and failed. The whispers grew louder. The humans are predators. The humans survived a death world. The humans cannot be stopped. And as the stars turned above, the galaxy began to wonder, if this was only the beginning of humanity's rise, what would happen when they reached their full strength? The galaxy had learned the truth about humanity's world. Earth was a death world, a place that shaped humans into predators. But knowing the truth was one thing. Believing it was another. Some alien leaders still laughed. They claimed the recordings were tricks, that humans were exaggerated, miscreated by fearful scouts. And so, the Council decided to act. If humans were truly dangerous, then they would be tested. The Karen Empire volunteered. Their pride had been burned by the loss of their fleet, and they wanted revenge. They gathered a coalition, ships from 3 empires, warriors from 5 species, and weapons that had shattered countless enemies before. It was one of the largest fleets the galaxy had seen in centuries. The Council called it a demonstration. The Karen called it justice. But in human history, it would be remembered as the first contact war. When the alien armada entered human space, they expected fear. They expected humans to beg, to surrender, to hide. Instead, they found silence. The skies above Earth were filled with human ships, old, patched, and ugly compared to the polished vessels of the galaxy. But they stood in formation, unmoving, as if daring the enemy to strike first. An alien commander sneered. Primitive ships. This will be over in minutes. He was wrong. The first clash came near the asteroid belt. Alien cruisers advanced with shields blazing. Human ships scattered, vanishing into rocks and shadows. For hours, scanners showed nothing but silence. And then, without warning, asteroids moved. The aliens thought it was natural drift, until the rocks smashed into their hulls. The humans had hidden thrusters inside the asteroids, turning the belt into a minefield. Explosions filled the void. Alien voices screamed across comms. They are everywhere. They are inside the rocks. By the time the survivors regrouped, dozens of ships were gone. But humans were not finished. At the edge of Mars, they unleashed another tactic. Damaged ships, half destroyed, leaking fire, moved straight toward the alien lines. The coalition laughed, believing them crippled. Then the crippled ships exploded, releasing swarms of hidden drones. Small, fast, armed with blades and explosives, they tore through hulls like locusts. One alien admiral shouted. They used their own dead ships as weapons. The galaxy had never seen such thinking. To waste a vessel was madness. To humans, it was survival. The war dragged on for weeks. Every battle was different. Humans adapted faster than any empire had ever witnessed. If shields were too strong, humans used magnetized debris. If weapons overheated, they turned enemy wreckage into cover. When fuel ran low, they stole it in daring raids. Aliens began to fear human silence most of all. Their fleets would enter a system, and nothing would happen. Hours would pass. Days. Then suddenly, humans would strike from every direction, like predators waiting for the perfect moment. On the 3rd week, the coalition finally reached Earth's orbit. Cities burned below as alien weapons fired. Millions of human lives were at risk. The Council believed this was the end. Humanity would finally kneel. But Earth did not kneel. Across the planet, civilians rose alongside soldiers. Farmers carried rifles. Miners turned drills into weapons. Pilots flew until their ships were nothing but burning metal. Children carried messages through ruined streets while skies thundered with fire. For every human that fell, 2 more appeared. The aliens had come expecting to conquer. Instead, they had awakened a species that refused to die. At last, the humans unleashed their final strike. In the ruins of Earth's orbit, a massive ship appeared, unfinished, untested, but alive with power. It was not beautiful. It was not perfect, but it carried a weapon the aliens had never seen before, a rail cannon the size of a mountain. The humans fired once. A single alien dreadnought, larger than any human city, split apart like glass. The coalition broke. Fear spread faster than orders. Ships turned and fled. Commanders screamed for retreat. The armada scattered, leaving behind wreckage and silence. When the last alien vessel vanished, Earth's skies cleared. Humanity had won. Against 3 empires, 5 species, and overwhelming power, they had stood their ground. The humans sent only one message across the stars. Their voices were calm, almost cold. Do not threaten Earth again. The galaxy trembled. For centuries, wars had been decided by numbers, by technology, by power. But the humans had shown something different. They fought with creativity, with sacrifice, with a will that refused to bend. Survivors returned to their worlds in shame and terror. Some refused to speak of what they saw. Others warned their leaders, their voices shaking. We did not fight soldiers. We fought predators in human skin. From that day, the Council's laughter was gone. No one dared to call humans weak anymore. They were no longer a rumor. They were no longer a whisper. They were a storm. And the galaxy had only just begun to understand what that meant. The war was over. The Coalition Armada, one of the strongest fleets ever gathered, had been destroyed. Earth still stood. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt something it had forgotten. Fear. The survivors of the First Contact War returned home broken. Many ships never reached their ports. The ones that did carried soldiers who no longer spoke with pride. Their eyes were hollow, their voices weak. On the world of the Karen, veterans refused to wear their medals. They called them badges of shame. On the colonies of the Zyran, soldiers woke in the night, screaming about human eyes staring at them in the dark. Even the mighty Varnic fleets whispered that they would rather fight the void itself than face humanity again. When commanders asked for reports, the soldiers said the same words. They don't fight like us. They don't stop like us. They don't die like us. Soon, rumors spread faster than ships. Traders carried stories from one star system to another. On backwater planets, farmers whispered that humans could see in the dark. Smugglers claimed humans had weapons that turned moons into dust. Children in distant colonies played games where one pretended to be human, and the others pretended to run. The whispers grew into fear, and fear grew into panic. The Council tried to control the news. They told the galaxy the war was exaggerated, that humans were strong but not unstoppable. But words meant nothing. Everywhere, people remembered the same fact. 3 empires, 5 species, countless weapons, all failed. Humanity had won. And if they could win against such power, what else were they capable of? The galaxy's markets began to shift. Merchants refused to fly near human space. Cargo captains demanded double pay if their routes passed close to Earth. Some planets even emptied entire colonies, moving their people far from the human border. But humans were not expanding. They did not send fleets to conquer. They did not raid alien trade. They stayed silent, and that silence was worse than any weapon. One alien scholar explained it best. Predators do not roar after every hunt. They wait. They watch. They choose their next prey carefully. Humanity is waiting. The thought haunted the stars. On a distant moon, a spy council gathered. They had studied humans closely since the war. One of them, a thin reptilian creature, spoke with a shaking voice. We believed humans fought for conquest. We were wrong. Their warships are not expanding outward. They are digging inward. They are building stronger defenses, faster ships, new weapons. They are preparing for something bigger. The room fell silent. Someone finally whispered, preparing for what? The spy only lowered his eyes. Survival. Meanwhile, in alien taverns, stories grew darker. Some said humans could breathe poison air. Others swore they saw humans walking calmly through fire. There were even tales of humans smiling as they died, as if death was only another weapon in their hands. And though many dismissed these as myths, deep inside, no one wanted to test if they were true. In the Grand Council chambers, fear turned to argument. "Strike now," shouted one warlord. "Destroy Earth before it grows stronger. If we wait, we will lose everything." Another counselor slammed his hand down. "Are you blind? We already lost against them once. If we fight again, it will not be war. It will be extinction." The chamber echoed with anger and fear. No decision was made, but the galaxy could feel it. Humanity had shaken the order of the stars. The empires no longer looked at each other with rivalry. They all looked in one direction, toward Earth. On Earth itself, humans lived with quiet determination. They did not celebrate victory with parades or festivals. They rebuilt their cities, buried their dead, and returned to work. To them, war was not glory. It was survival. Factories built ships in silence. Scientists studied alien wrecks, turning foreign technology into human design. Soldiers trained harder, faster, stronger, preparing for the day the stars might come again. The galaxy thought humans were preparing for conquest, but humans were only preparing to endure. One alien captain, who had escaped the first contact war, spoke words that echoed across the stars. We went to break them. Instead, they broke us. Do not think of them as conquerors. Think of them as fire. They do not spread because they want to rule. They spread because they cannot be put out. And so, the fear spread. From rich world to poor colonies, from soldiers to farmers, every race began to whisper the same words in the dark. We fought monsters in human skin. The council had laughed once. Now, they did not laugh at all. Fear had spread across the stars like a disease. Every species whispered of humanity. Every soldier remembered the war. Every trader avoided Earth's skies. But fear is a dangerous thing. Fear does not always lead to peace. Sometimes it leads to betrayal. In the grand chamber of the council, the galaxy's leaders gathered once more. The memory of the first contact war hung heavy in the air. No one laughed at the name of humans now. A voice broke the silence. They are too dangerous, hissed a Varnic lord, his scales dark with anger. If we allow them to grow, they will become unstoppable. We must act before it is too late. Others nodded. Some trembled. But they have not attacked since the war, argued an Olnari diplomat. They do not expand. They only prepare. That is what makes them dangerous, shouted another. A predator waits before it strikes. Can we afford to wait until their claws reach our throats? The debate raged for hours. Finally, a decision was made in secret. The council would betray humanity. They would not attack openly. The war had shown the price of facing humans head-on. Instead, they would use shadows. Assassins were hired. Mercenary fleets were promised riches beyond measure. Bioweapons were engineered in hidden laboratories, designed to infect only human blood. Spies were sent to Earth's colonies, ordered to sabotage factories, poison supplies, and break morale. The council told their people it was for peace. But in truth, it was fear guiding every hand. The first plan was simple: assassinate human leaders. On a quiet night, in the heart of Earth's capital, shadows moved across rooftops. Alien assassins, invisible to human eyes, crept closer to their target. Their blades were dipped in venom, their weapons silent. But when they struck, they found themselves surrounded. Human soldiers stepped from the darkness, rifles raised. The assassins had been expected. The mission ended in blood. Not human blood, but theirs. The second plan was brutal: release a plague. In secret, scientists engineered a virus meant to sweep through Earth like fire. It was carried by stolen cargo ships, released into human cities. The council believed it would spread too fast to stop. But weeks passed, and the virus did not grow. Human doctors found it, fought it, and destroyed it before it claimed more than a handful of lives. Later, it was discovered that the virus had mutated inside human bodies and killed itself. The plague failed. The third plan was bold: a mercenary fleet. Hundreds of ships, drawn by promises of gold and power, rushed toward human space. They believed humans were still rebuilding, still weak. They believed they could finish what the council could not. They were wrong. The moment they entered human space, their engines died. Their weapons shut down. Confusion spread as ships drifted powerless. Then human warships appeared, surrounding them like wolves around prey. The mercenaries had been betrayed, not by humans, but by their own greed. Humanity had intercepted the council's secret messages, weeks before the fleet ever launched. The mercenaries surrendered without firing a shot. One by one, every plan failed. The assassins never reached their targets. The plague never spread. The mercenary fleet never fired. It was as if the humans knew every move before it was made. At last, one mercenary captain, who survived capture, confessed the truth. His voice shook as he told the council what he had seen. They knew, they always knew, our plans, our paths, our traps. It was as if they were inside our minds. We thought we hunted them, but they were hunting us. His words spread like wildfire. Panic grew within the council. If humans truly could outthink every move, then there was no way to defeat them. Some leaders wanted to admit defeat, to open peace talks and end the fear. Others demanded stronger measures. Entire star systems burned, colonies destroyed, even the use of forbidden weapons that could shatter worlds. But none of their voices mattered anymore, because humanity already knew. On Earth, leaders met in silence. They had intercepted the Council's betrayal long before the first assassin had set foot on their soil. They had seen the plague coming before the first vial was filled. They had known about the mercenary fleet before the engines even started. To humanity, it was not surprising. They had lived on a death world. They had learned to expect betrayal. And now, the galaxy was showing its true face. A human general stood before his people and spoke simple words. They fear us. They seek to destroy us. But they do not understand. We are not fighting for conquest. We are fighting for survival. And survival is what humanity does best. In the shadows of the stars, the Council shivered. Their betrayal had failed. Their secrets were known. Their fear had grown. And across the galaxy, whispers rose once more. The humans knew our move before we even made them. The Council's betrayal had failed. Assassins were caught. The plague was destroyed. The mercenary fleet had surrendered without firing a shot. And yet, the galaxy asked the same question. How? How did a young species, so new to the stars, defeat plans made by the oldest powers of the galaxy? The answer came slowly, revealed not by spies, but by survivors who had faced humans up close. In a hidden chamber, a captured alien general sat trembling. His voice was broken, his eyes haunted. "You think their strength is in their weapons," he whispered. "You think it is their ships, their cannons, their machines. You are wrong. Their true weapon is not what they carry. It is what they are." The Council leaned closer. "They adapt," the general said, "faster than any species I have ever seen. We bring them fire. They bring water. We build a wall. They find a ladder. Every plan we make, they break. Every trap we build, they escape. You cannot fight them with numbers. You cannot fight them with fear. They learn, and they learn faster than we can kill them." The chamber fell silent. Across the galaxy, more stories confirmed the general's words. On the battlefield, humans collected alien weapons, not to admire them, but to improve them. A plasma cannon designed by the Karen was made stronger by human engineers within months. A shield generator stolen from the Varnic was rebuilt to last twice as long. Even alien medicine, meant for other species, was altered to heal human wounds. Every scrap of knowledge became fuel. Every loss became a lesson. Where other races repeated their past, humanity turned mistakes into power. A MYRR trader told a chilling tale in a crowded tavern. "I saw it with my own eyes," he whispered. "They built ships from wreckage. From wreckage. They took broken hulls, enemy scraps, and turned them into weapons. They fight with everything, rocks, fire, metal, even their own blood if they must. Tell me, how do you defeat a species that turns defeat itself into victory?" The tavern grew silent. No one answered. But it was not only technology. Humans had something deeper, something no machine could create. Unity. On Earth, leaders argued. Yes. Nations disagreed. Yes. But when the galaxy threatened their survival, they stood together. Rich and poor, soldier and civilian, child and elder, all became one. Other empires fought for pride, for wealth, for territory. Humanity fought for survival, and survival united them like nothing else could. A Zyran spy once reported this chilling detail to his masters. "I watched the human battlefield. Their soldiers fought side by side, covering each other, carrying each other, never leaving the fallen behind. Even in death, they protected one another. Their unity is not strategy, it is instinct." The report ended with a single line that shook the council. They do not fight as individuals. They fight as one. The galaxy began to understand. It was not human strength. It was not human weapons. It was the human mind, the human heart, the human will. This was humanity's true weapon. On Earth, factory continued to burn with light. Scientists pushed beyond limits. Soldiers trained harder each day. But when asked why, their answer was always the same. Because the stars will come again. The Council watched in terror as human progress grew faster than anything seen before. A weapon that once took decades to develop, humans perfected in months. A technology that once required generations, humans unlocked in years. They were not just surviving. They were evolving. At last, another captured commander spoke his final warning before execution. They are not the strongest. They are not the fastest. They are not the smartest. But they are the most dangerous, because they are all three at once. And every day, they become more. His words spread across the galaxy like fire. The whispers returned. They take our weapons and make them stronger. They take our tactics and turn them against us. They learn faster than we can fight. And finally, the words that chilled even the bravest warriors. The galaxy cannot resist them. Humanity is already winning the war we have not yet fought. The Council had laughed once. Then they had betrayed. Now they only feared. For the stars were beginning to realize the truth. Humanity's true weapon was not in their hands. It was in their nature. The galaxy had tried everything. They had mocked humanity. They had fought them. They had betrayed them. And yet, the humans stood stronger than before. Now, at last, the Great Council called for peace. The Chamber of Stars was filled with silence. The rulers of 100 species sat together, their eyes fixed on the newcomers entering the hall. The humans. No guards followed them. No weapons were carried. Just 3 figures in simple uniforms, walking with steady steps, their faces calm, their eyes sharp. Every alien leader felt the same chill. These were not conquerors. These were survivors. The council speaker rose. His voice trembled despite his efforts. Humans of Earth, we invite you here not as enemies, but as equals. We wish to end this conflict. The humans said nothing. They simply sat down at the great table, their silence heavier than any weapon. Finally, one of them spoke. His voice was low, steady, and without pride. We did not come to conquer your stars. We did not come to burn your worlds. We came only because you brought war to ours. The chamber shifted with unease. No one dared to interrupt. You feared us, the human continued. You feared what we might become. And so you tried to destroy us before we had even begun. But you failed. Do you know why? His eyes swept across the council. Because survival is not a choice for us. It is what we are. You live in comfort. We were born in fire. You built cities on safe worlds. We built ours on a death world. You fear predators. We became predators. You fight to win wars. We fight because we cannot afford to lose them. The room fell into heavy silence. An old alien king leaned forward, his voice shaking. Then what is it you want? If not conquest, if not war, what is it that humanity desires? The human answered with only 2 words. Respect, survival. The council whispered among themselves. Some felt relief. Others felt deeper terror. Because in those simple words lay the true danger of humanity. They did not seek to rule. They did not seek to enslave. They only sought to endure. And a species that fights only to endure can never be stopped. The survivor of the First War once said, "They smile when they fight. They bleed and they laugh. They fall, but they rise again. And when they rise stronger." The council remembered his words. And now, looking at the humans sitting calmly before them, they knew it was true. The treaty was signed that day. The war ended. The council declared peace with Earth. But peace did not erase the fear, because every species in that chamber understood one truth. The humans had not shown their full strength. They had not used their greatest weapons. They had not unleashed their darkest fury. They had fought only to survive. And in survival, they had already won. From that day forward, the stars watched humanity with caution. Merchants whispered tales of human bravery. Soldiers spoke of human strategy. Spies warned of human unity. And slowly, a legend was born, not of conquerors, not of destroyers, but of survivors. Generations later, children of alien worlds asked their elders a question: why do we fear the humans? And the elders would answer with the same words every time: because they cannot be broken, because they cannot be stopped, because when the stars themselves turned against them, humanity endured. The galaxy had many predators. The galaxy had many empires. The galaxy had many warriors. But there was only one species the stars themselves learned to fear: the humans, the children of Earth, the survivors of a death world, the ones who would never surrender. And as the council chamber emptied on that historic day, a final thought lingered in every alien mind. If this is humanity at the beginning, what will they become when they reach the end?